team win, like Coach said, all week. Didn't matter. All the distractions, everything we went through. That's a hell of a way to find a team win right there, man. Tampa strong on 3. 1, 2, 3.
There's going to be a lot of distractions, a lot of ups and downs, and you just got to handle it the right way, and that's how our team handled that second quarter. But just for us to come in at halftime and say, if we just handle our business, we're going to be just all right, and that's what we did. And that's the type of culture we've built through and through, and just a resilient group.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers put a beat down on divisional rivals New Orleans Saints, going against Spencer Rattler in their game. Baker Mayfield does it again. He does not surprise me, doesn't shock me. This isn't like a oh wow moment, but if you listen to the media, they're like, oh my gosh, Baker did this, and oh my gosh, Baker did that, and Baker is this. It's like, guys, he has shown this before that he is lethal, and of course he has 3 interceptions. I think all 3 interceptions were actually pretty legitimate plays on the defense, if you ask me. But 4 touchdowns, 325 yards, going for 24-36, and was able to use his legs a lot too. 3 carries for 29 yards at a 12-yarder as well. This team looks like things are coming within its own. I'm starting to see a lot of explosive plays. For the 4th time in 6 games, Baker Mayfield and the Bucs have put up more than 30 points. This is great. This is playoff type of energy. 3 of those being in winning efforts. And so even when the idea is that you don't perform well or you lose the game, that's probably better to say, you're still going to be scoring points despite the 3 interceptions of Mayfield, 2 of which should have been catches, if you ask me. Coach Liam Cohen never took his foot off the gas with his play calling. He said, let's keep throwing it. Let's keep putting in the air. Let's not subject to running the ball now. 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns. 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns were a much different and welcomed feeling for the Buccaneers fan base, all of you guys. As this offense is truly starting to churn out more games and more W's and having blowout wins against divisional rivals, this is crazy good work. The Buccaneers actually have the luxury of 2 superstar wide receivers and a revolving door of capable running backs. And we will be talking about Chris Godwin later. But from my point of view, this is a very balanced offensive attack, which has proved the recipe for success against the Saints. As you know, there was only 36 to 35 passing attempts to 35 to 35 rushing attempts as a split. And so another thing that I saw, and this kid is someone who I loved coming out of college, loved him during the draft process. Believe he went to Syracuse. Yes, he did. He definitely went to Syracuse. And I'm not saying Rachaad White is out. I'm not saying Rachaad White is going to have to fight tooth and nail to get his job back. But what I'm saying is Sean Tucker can be a guy. He carried the ball 14 times for 136 yards. While even Mr. Bucky himself, Bucky Irving, also logged in 14 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown as well. So it could just be the absolute annihilation of this offensive line and the simple fact that you guys just have 3 good, awesome running backs. The Saints are not a joke, especially in the trenches, to where you can actually sit up and say, okay, we have multiple running backs and get this job done. We have Rachaad White, who, yes, is the starter, but he can get the job done. Bucky Irving, who's going to be getting a lot of snaps, a little bit of a smaller dude, but he can serve us up a lot. And then Sean freaking Tucker, I'm so happy for him to get his spotlight, to get his time, and to actually perform at a high level. And the good thing about this running back core is each and every one of them can catch the ball out of the backfield. Each and every one of them can run the ball, and each and every one of them has a little bit of speed, have an extra gear. And so all within that regard, there's beautiful things that happen behind the line of scrimmage. The coaching staff will need to figure this out, though. They got to figure out who's going to be the guy. They got to figure out split carry. They got to figure out workloads. They have to figure out all of that stuff. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what head coach Todd Bowles is going to be making out with all of that stuff. And then now I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Chris Godwin himself. And I've never said, he's done, he's not going to be that dude anymore, but it's a simple fact, right? The simple fact that he had 11 receptions for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. And these plays he was making, these weren't like Baker is putting the ball in the spot where only he can get it. He is breaking down these corners, especially that first touchdown he had. It's a slant route, but he beautifully shifts his weight to the right, to the outside, and then he was able to easily collapse his hips to come in quickly for that slant. The DB had nothing. And I think it was Adebo who was their best corner, one of their best corners. And so he could not do anything against the experience of Chris Godwin. And of course, we already knew what Mike Evans is going to be bringing to the game, but he only had 2 catches for 34 yards, but he was still making his impact in the running game. He was still out there blocking. His energy was still up. So lead puts your team into prevent defense and clock eating mode. That just simply hasn't been the case for the team more often than not this season. Once up 17-0 early over the Saints, quickly turned into a 3-point game. It was 20-17 at a deficit. You guys were losing out of nowhere. I don't know how that happens. And, rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler was sacked 5 times and threw 2 interceptions on the day. So it doesn't make sense. It's like y'all were playing, y'all were there. But the big plays are big plays that shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. And even though he was sacked 5 times and had the 2 interceptions, from my point of view, it never looked like Spencer Rattler was frustrated or uncomfortable, or he seemed like he was, cool as a cucumber, which is not okay. And to really paint a picture about this defense, I got some stats for you guys. Only one time throughout the 6 games have the Buccaneers given up less than 250 yards, and the team that they did it against was the Philadelphia Eagles. And I got you, understand, you're saying, oh, that's a good team. Well, they did not have A.J. Brown, and they did not have Devontae Smith. And yes, that offense only generated 227 yards. But of course, if you don't have your 2 starting alpha receivers, you're not going to have a lot of yards on offense, and that showed. Leaving your offense to win certain shootouts, especially if it's with the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the San Francisco 49ers that are coming up, yes, a crucial game against the Atlanta Falcons should be on the radar, as the defense allowed Kirk Cousins to have a career day in Week 5. So this has to get fixed defensively. I hate when I see really good offenses or, okay teams that can put points on the board, but they don't have a defense to keep points off the board. This is a very, very frustrating thing to see sometimes. And so this needs to be something. Antoine Winfield did get that, scoop and score. They were hitting, the defense is hitting, but I don't know what it is to where it just seems like this defense just needs to tighten up a little bit more. You guys let me know in the comments if you agree with that one, but I just think the defense has got to lock in, because this offense is about to take off. Baker, Bucky, John, Rashad, Mike, Chris Godwin, whoever, that credible offensive line as well, like whoever offensively they go out there, I think you guys can compete with any and all threats defensively. But I do not have that same confidence with the Buccaneers defense right now. You guys can definitely prove me wrong. I hope you do. And as of right now, you guys are sitting first in the NFC South. And I feel as if that is definitely going to be a good position for you guys to be holding on to. But you guys are playing the Baltimore Ravens, who are leading the league in rushing yards. You got to step up. We need this. And I also think, I wonder if you guys agree, Tyke Smith, he's a dog. I didn't think he'd be, putting out this much heat as a safety, as a rookie safety, but he looks like he can actually legitimately get the job done. And I just think his game on Sunday was legit, and it was awesome. And I love seeing him and Antoine Winfield Jr. back there just doing their thing together. And I can only imagine the things he's learning from Antoine. So that's beautiful in that regard. But yeah, you guys have the Baltimore Ravens stop the run game, turn Lamar into a passer, turn him into a lethal passer. And even more than that, let Baker rip it, dude. Let him throw it, put points on the board, rush them to think like, okay, we got to stop running, we got to start passing. Turn Lamar into a full-time passer, take Derrick Henry out of the game because he doesn't like to really be in there for passing downs. And let's see if you can make the Baltimore Ravens one-dimensional with passing the ball. Their defense has a lot of holes. Their defense is not as awesome as it was last year. There are definitely some holes within the defense. You guys just have to exploit them and lean on Baker Magic. Baker Magic is going to be very, very important against Baltimore. It's a primetime game, so I know he's going to be ready and willing for it. Go ahead and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.